Hello, children. So, we are going to be studying the next stage, which is the pre-operational stage, and it is also called the early childhood. And this is the second stage, and the age range of this stage is from 2 years to 7 years. So, it is 2 to 7, and this age group is defining your early childhood, and of course we'll be talking about the late childhood also, and it's also called the pre-operational stage. So today we'll cover up, of course, a slight introduction about this particular stage and the motor development also. So here, of course, when we talk about the growth, it slightly slows down, in this period, and we do see the child developing physically, and there is gaining of height, there is gaining of weight also, and he does learn some of the gross motor skills like walking, running, jumping, and of course he also learns to play with certain things, and socially the world of the child does expand, and he gets to know a lot about the school, the home front, the people staying around his or her house, and of course they also get to know about what's good and what's bad. It's not that they cannot comprehend what's good and what's bad. They know the difference between the good and the bad, and there is a sense of morality, so to say. They know what's right to do, what's not right for them to do. So there is a sense of morality here, like your own moral values, so to say. They just start realizing about the moral values too, and of course their physical capacities are increased, and they can take up a lot of tasks, on their own also. They can even set up goals for themselves, and at times whatever expectations their parents could be having, or teachers, they are ready to meet the expectations now, with this new age group. And of course the brain, of course, is also getting matured, and they are able to in a way contribute. The brain, the maturation of the brain is contributing to a lot many cognitive abilities also, which of course we will be studying under the cognitive development. And coming to the motor development, so to say, we do have the gross motor skills, which are getting developed during the early childhood, and now they have started using their arms and their legs. So the gross motor skills were not very much there in the infancy, where we only had some of the fine motor skills. So when we talk about the gross motor skills, they are more complicated. They are more complex skills, so to say, where they are making use of our physical capacities, where our physical capacities are used. So we do have the fine motor skills, we do have the gross. So the gross ones are more complex, so the more complicated ones, so like probably, they start moving around with a lot of confidence also, and there is a purpose when they move around, so some of the gross motor skills can be, hopping, jumping, running around, climbing up and down the staircase, like even with the just using one foot, and running hard, taking part in races. These are very complicated motor skills, which actually means making use of our own physical capacities, so to say, and so that is a very, very gross, or you can say complicated, or complex. And when we talk about the fine motor skills, there is something called as the finger dexterity. There is eye hand coordination, so what is this finger dexterity? Like it is the coordination of your fingers and hands, along with your eye coordination, like how your eyes are able to coordinate with your fingers and hands when you're writing, how your fingers are able to coordinate with the hand also, like how you are able to make that grip when you're holding a pencil, when you're writing, all that comes under the finger dexterity. So when there is going to be a coordination between the fingers and the hands, then you can complete your tasks, whether it's about writing, whether it's about completing a chore or whatever. So this is finger dexterity, which of course gets developed in this time period between 2 to 7, where children also start writing, they start learning how to write. So finger dexterity, coordination of the fingers and hands, they play a very important role. And there is eye hand coordination, where while writing, how your eyes coordinate with your hands at that moment, that is also getting developed here. And of course, the preference for either the right hand or the left hand gets developed here, which is the child begins to write with which particular hand. We do have lefties also, because they are the ones who use their left hand to write, to eat, and to do other things. And we have certain children who learn how to write, who learn how to write using their right hand. So there is a preference which gets developed during this period, which is the early childhood between 2 to 7 years. And of course, the major changes which you see are, of course, in the development of your gross and your fine motor skills, which does happen in your early childhood, which is 2 to 7 years, also called the pre operational stage. Thank you so much.